Casey's biggest hits.
15 years ago this week, one of the biggest hits in the USA was Mickey by a singing choreographer who isn't Paula Abdul. I'll have details and that big hit after this.
American Top 40.
Well, now we're up to the first hit song by the woman who choreographed the biggest dance scene in the movie American Graffiti and taught stars like David Bowie and Bette Midler how to move on stage. This multi-talented lady's real name is Antonia Basilotta, which she has neatly shortened to Toni Basil. Toni was born in Philadelphia, and both her parents were in show business. Her mother was a dancer, her father a band leader. They traveled a lot, and Toni grew up all over the U.S., but mostly in Chicago and Las Vegas. In the late 60s, she tried a singing career which didn't click, so she concentrated on dancing. Soon, the dancer became a choreographer. In the 1973 big hit movie American Graffiti, it was Toni Basil who choreographed the sock hop scene. And for years, Toni's performed that service for Melissa Manchester's shows. She's choreographed 5 tours for Bette Midler, plus Bette's movies Divine Madness and The Rose. But her most important choreographic client has been English superstar David Bowie. And it was while Toni was working with David preparing his concert tours that he told her she should go back to singing, along with her dancing, that she should become a total performer. Toni told us, when David Bowie says to you, "Oh, you should sing, you should do a show," that's a reason to move. And Toni Basil started putting on her own rock and roll shows with choreographed dancing in Los Angeles clubs like the Roxy and theaters like the Fox Venice. And that exposure led to a recording contract and to her very first top 40 hit. It's at number 38 in our countdown this week. Here's that lady of many talents, Toni Basil, with Mickey.
Casey's Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast. American Top 40.
We're on our way to the number 1 song in the USA. Now, an AT40 Extra. The only number 1 song ever to feature actual high school cheerleaders. And the lead singer is the former head cheerleader of Las Vegas High. She's a singer, a dancer, and a choreographer, and an actor. And her name is Toni Basil. Toni told us that a few years back, just for fun, she started attending cheerleading competitions. It reminded her of her own school days as a pom-pom girl. And Toni said, there was nothing like the sound of all that stomping and clapping and chanting. I thought, what a great idea for a backbeat for a record. And what a natural as far as the visual goes, because cheerleading is a real refined American art form. End of quote. Well, Toni started searching for a song that would be just right for her cheerleading rock and roll routine, and found it in a song called Kitty, written by English producers Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman. Toni had them change the lyrics around a bit, give it a new song title, and threw in a cheerleading yell, and then added a final authentic touch. For backup yells, she used real cheerleaders from Dorsey High School in Los Angeles. And in 1982, Toni Basil and her cheerleading squad hit number 1. Here it is as an AT40 Extra, the result of what Toni called a cheerleading buzz.
Casey's biggest hits.
15 years ago this week, one of the biggest hits in the USA was by a singing choreographer who isn't Paula Abdul. With her string of number 1 hits, Paula Abdul is the name that comes to mind when you put the words singing choreographer together. But 6 years before Paula first hit, another singing choreographer was doing some fancy steps on the charts. A dancer from Los Angeles who came up with the choreography for hit TV shows like Shindig and Hullabaloo, and for the dance scenes in the movie American Graffiti. Back in 1982, she also made her mark on the charts with her first and only top 40 hit. With one of the biggest hits in the USA 15 years ago this week, here's Toni Basil and Mickey.